Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. My name is Jordan, aka Apayo, and today we're going to be solving a cryptic crossword by Runnalls, who's a very well-known cryptic crossword setter from Melbourne. He publishes crosswords in The Age on Tuesday and also in the Saturday paper. He tends to write very fun, interesting clues that are not diabolically difficult, often quite beginner friendly. And so hopefully this will be a good one to start the channel with. If you're new to cryptic crosswords, then welcome, and I'm going to try to walk through some of the thinking that goes on with solving clues and hopefully get you on your way to solving your own. I will waffle a little bit more at the end of the solve about the intentions for this channel, but for now, why don't we try to break on in. I've popped the grid into a piece of software online, got the clues up on screen. At the top of screen, you'll see I can scroll through to the clue that I'm focused on at any given moment, and I think that's all we need to know. So let's just start with one across. Okay, so awful noise from thing held at Rod Laver Arena, say. Okay, I'm going to move on from that one. Two down. Ignoring trademark when playing Mozart in a US state. Okay, so we're going to get rid of the TM from Mozart. I'll explain this in more detail once I've solved it. Okay, so this is going to be Arizona. So if we take Mozart in A and we play with those letters, we rearrange them, but we also ignore TM, which is the abbreviation for trademark. So we take Mozart in A, take out the TM, rearrange all those letters, we get the word Arizona, which is a US state. So just on that quickly, for anyone who's brand new to cryptics, you may not understand the basic idea that with a cryptic crossword clue, part of the clue is a definition, like a normal crossword clue, and part of it is wordplay, and the definition will always come either at the beginning of the clue or the end of the clue. So in this clue, the definition was either going to be ignoring, or it was going to be US state, or maybe just the word state. There is some exceptions to that, but that's basically the rule. So when you're first looking at a clue, you don't know directly whether the definition is at the beginning or the end. And just to make the point more clearly, if this was a regular crossword rather than cryptic, it would be sufficient just to have that term, US state, and the answer would be Arizona. In the cryptic case, we have US state, meaning that, but we also have all this other stuff here, which we can use to derive the same word in the way that I just went through. So that is 2 down, and I'm going to flick to 9 across. There we go. Yum, I love gulping this chalky drink, or 9 across. Yum, I love gulping this chalky drink. Okay, cool. So this is Milo, and this is called a hidden clue. And if you have a look, in a hidden clue, the answer is literally, figure out how to use this properly, is literally written in the clue. So M-I-L-O is in the middle of those words. And the reason we know that it's a hidden clue, the indicator for that is this word gulping. So this term here is gulping, or it has inside it effectively the term that we're looking for, which is Milo, which is a chalky drink. For anyone outside of Australia, you may not know what that is, but it's a chocolate kind of powder that you add to milk. I was going to say something else on that, I think, just quickly. No, we'll just move on for now. So 11 across. Alcohol in essence suppresses divinity. Alcohol in essence suppresses got some ideas, but I'm not sure, so I'll move on. 13, decline ultimately consensual torture. 13, decline ultimately consensual torture. Nope, 3 down. Reorganizing present wrapped by monarch. Present wrapped. So this will be probably present is now. Okay. Oh, no. It would help if I read the clue correctly. So this is knowing. It's not reorganizing, it's recognizing. Okay. So the present is now, and that is wrapped by a word meaning monarch. So king, K-I-N-G, is wrapped around now, giving recognizing, knowing. Okay, 11, no, let's try one across now that we've got that K. That should make life a lot easier. Awful noise, that's, okay, so this is going to be racket. I remember there was a reference to Rod Laver Arena, so an awful noise is a racket, and a thing that's held at Rod Laver Arena, for example, or say, is a tennis racket. A racket is held at Rod Laver Arena. This is a nice play. When we read the surface of this clue, we get the sense of an event that would be held at Rod Laver Arena, but in fact we're talking about an object. Very nice. 4 down. Name the capitals of Tahiti, India, Thailand, Libya, Estonia. So this is title, and this is a common play in Cryptics, is to use this word capitals. We can use other words as well, it might be leaders, but basically I've got to get this, got to teach Apple not to do this when I'm trying to select. So the capital letters of Tahiti, India, Thailand, Libya, and Estonia spell out T-I-T-L-E, which is another word for a name. Okay, I'm just going to make sure that... Alright, so a quick pause there. I just wanted to make sure that these screen elements were lined up adequately. So we just did 4 down for title, so why don't we... Actually, this isn't quite lined up. Why don't we have a look at 5 down? So manufacturers 1,000 cakes, binning 100. Okay, so we've got lots of references to numbers here. I feel like this is going to be makes. Yes, okay, so I got that directly from the definition, which I thought was probably manufactures, and 1,000 is otherwise known as M in Roman numerals, so that's our M at the beginning of makes. And if we take cakes and we bin the Roman numeral for 100, which would be C, we just get aches. So M plus aches is makes, which means manufactures. 10 across is looking attractive. Happens to botch peace talk. Okay, so this looks like it's going to be takes place, which is happens to botch peace talks. Yeah, okay, so peace talks. This is an anagram clue where if we botch, if we make a mess of peace talks, we rearrange those letters, we get the term takes place, which means happens. 5 across. Snakes caused jittery tradesmen to lose time. Okay, so I see the word jittery and I think, oh, that sounds like it might be telling us to rearrange letters, so the letters are jittery. And tradesman here would be the natural thing for that to be attached to. That's 9 letters. Our final answer is 8 letters. So it's not going to be an anagram of tradesman directly. But if we take an abbreviation for the word time is the letter T. So if we lose the T from tradesman, we get radesman. And then if we make that jittery, we move them around, we're going to get a word that means snakes. And that is going to be meanders. This is a nice clue. Again, in the surface reading, the word snakes, it comes across as the animal, but in fact, we're looking eventually for the word meanders, which means the verb to snake. Just a note on the abbreviation time as well. It's not the case that you can just abbreviate any word in a crossword, in a cryptic clue, to its first letter. So lose, for example, could not mean the letter L. The reason why time can mean T is that T is an official abbreviation for time. So it's used in physics and various other things. So that's something to be aware of. Okay, 6 down. Let's see what that's saying. Helping idiot middle child get smart. Helping idiot middle child get smart. Yeah, so this I think is an anagram of the middle letter of child, the I, plus get smart. I get smart, all rearranged, and it means helping, and the idiot would be the anagram indicator, the thing telling us to rearrange these letters, and helping. Oh well. Yeah. I don't know what that is actually. I'll move on. I don't want to labour too long on clues because it tends to slow these videos down. Erased homeowner's document, including lease. Okay, so a homeowner's document, including lease. So title would be a homeowner's document potentially. Erased. Okay, so it's looking actually just from the definition is probably deleted. So homeowner's document including lease. Oh, okay, so a homeowner's document is a deed, D-E-E-D, so the outside letters there, and they include a word that means to lease, which is to let in the rental sense. So that's that one there. 8 down, Dwayne Johnson gets topless in spaceships. So I guess Dwayne Johnson is The Rock. Yeah. So now we've got Dwayne Johnson is The Rock. Topless, gets topless is the word gets without its top. So it's just ETS, and spaceships are rockets. 12 across. This is going swimmingly so far. Puzzling job for a dog. Okay, so this is a bit of an in joke for crossword people. It's not the kind of word you would necessarily know if you're not involved in crosswords, but someone who sets crosswords is called a setter, and a dog is also, or a setter is a type of dog. Let's go 16 across. And just to explain as well, that's called a double definition clue. So we basically got two definitions. We've got, like, if this was a normal crossword, you could put the word dog as the clue, or you could put the word puzzling job as the clue. So there's no word play as such. There's no splicing and rearranging or anything like that. 16 across. Head off to find you and I in Asian River. Okay, so this is Indus. Interesting that was actually came up in something I watched this morning, talking about the fact that India is making moves to have the English or the rest of the world cease referring to the country as India, and instead referring to it by the name that they themselves refer to, which I think is Bharat or something. So Indus, we've got the head off to find, so that the head letter coming off the word find gives us ind. You and I is also known as us, and Indus is the Asian river. which I believe does run through India and presumably some other countries as well. I'm tempted to come back to this one. 6 down, I don't recall. Yeah, okay, so I was wrong in my thinking because there's 2 S's in this answer and there's not 2 S's available in here. That's the bells at the Greek church next door. Okay, so helping might be assisting. Oh, I see. I should have thought of this. Very commonly the word idiot. Actually, I'm just going to wait a second while the bells go. There we go. Very commonly a word like idiot in Cryptic is referring to the word ass. You're an ass. And then we've got ass and then isting. So middle child is the I. Okay, yeah. And smart is the verb to smart in the sense of something hurting, or in this case, stinging. So it stings, it smarts. So ass, middle child is I, sting is smart. The word get is just a filler word to say that the whole thing connects together. And assisting obviously means helping. So let's try 15 down. I meant to comment actually when I was putting this grid in, I noticed it's an unusual structure for a grid. There's lots of these kind of very large gaps of black cells and this kind of quirky 3-letter central entry. And often when the grid's a little non-standard like that, I suspect there might be some sort of theme at play because he's had to kind of massage the grid a little bit to make the theme work, but so far I'm not seeing anything. So now 15 down, normally shorter answers like this are easier. The main exception to that is in David Astle puzzles, where 3-letter answers, because they are inherently easier, especially once you've got 1 or 2 letters in place, he makes the clues typically much, much harder. But this one should be good, I think. So centre halfback tackles you. I feel like it's going to have a U in it, the letter U, meaning the word U. Halfback. No? Okay, let's go to 13 across and see if we can get the first letter. Decline, ultimately, consensual torture. Yeah, I saw this before. Languish. So the ultimate letter of consensual, as in the last letter, is the L. And another word for torture is anguish, and to decline is to languish. Okay, so now we do have that first letter. Centre half back tackles you. So it's going to be hub, I guess. Right, so a halfback apparently is can be abbreviated to HB, so that's presumably a sporting thing. And it's tackling you. So U is being abbreviated to the letter U. I guess that's basically on the basis of text speak. And tackling it in this sense is meaning it's kind of surrounding it. So we get hub, which is another word for center. Okay, 19 across should be gettable. Plead with hostel trainee. So plead is beg, and a hostel is an inn, and is and a trainee is a beginner. So the name of this kind of clue is a charade, where basically you're taking each of the words here and just replacing them with an alternative for themselves, a synonym. So so plead becomes beg, hostile becomes in, becomes and that's the final answer. So you don't have any kind of unusual insertions or rearrangements or anything. You're just taking synonyms and plonking them together. Let's try 14 down. Where am I? Here we go. International news gutted with lofty editor appointed. So I think this is going to be appointed as the definition. The reason I think that is that international can be abbreviated to I, so that's probably that I there. And if this is part of the wordplay, then the other end of the clue would be the definition. News can be the letter N, or in fact, I think it can't be the letter N. New can be N, so news would be double N. That comes up quite a bit. Or news is being gutted, which is to say that news is having the middle letters taken out, which I think is probably going to be right. So you get N and S with lofty editor in appointed in installed. I was thinking maybe lofty was telling us to rearrange this, although it was an unusual anagram indicator. But in fact, lofty means tall, and editor can be abbreviated to ED in newspaper speak, and installed means appointed. Okay, 17 across. Pipes were finally plugged into baths. Pipes were finally plugged into baths. So I think we're going to take the final letter of plugged, which will be D, and we're going to put it into a word. Well, actually, I think the answer is tubes. Oh, I see. So I got to tubes because I realized that baths would be tubs, and then it's got an E added into it. And I thought, well, I thought I was adding a D, but actually we're taking the final letter of were, so the E, and we're plugging it into the middle of a word for baths, tubs, which gives us tubes, meaning pipes. 17 down. Hectare mode for instructor. Okay, so this is just teacher. Mode is an interesting anagram indicator, but mode is telling us we need to rearrange these letters, and we get teacher meaning instructor. So a very easy clue from the point of view of not a long anagram to make, and a natural synonym for instructor is teacher. Mode, though, is quite an odd anagram indicator. I guess the idea is that when you mow something, you're chopping it up, but it's a little tenuous. But you will see as you solve cryptics that sometimes pretty much it seems almost anything that vaguely has anything to do with things being cut or wrong or anything like that can be used as an anagram indicator. 22 across with an A at the end. Clues that have an A or an I or a U or an O at the end are either easy or hard because they're quite likely to be some sort of cultural reference. That might be a city or something like that. And so that might be hard if you don't know the place or the thing. But it usually makes it easier to know where the definition element is. So if we have a look at this, so 22 across, conversely had fibber pruned flower. Now, I think the definition is going to be flower or potentially flower, which is a cryptic thing, a very cryptic ease thing of referring to a river. So a river is something that flows. But we need to, so I think we are looking for a flower or a river because they're quite likely to end in the letter A, as opposed to conversely, which probably there's not a good synonym that ends in A. So had fibber pruned. So, okay, a fibber is a liar, and we've got an A at the end. So I think we're going to have that. Right, and then conversely, now this is a nice example of a clue. So conversely had means it's either an anagram indicator telling us to rearrange these letters, or it's a reversal indicator telling us to just spell these letters backwards. That gives us the DAH. A fibber is a liar, but it's been pruned, so the final letter's been cut off, giving LIA. For a flower, which is dahlia, I assume that's a flower and not a river. Now, I don't know that term particularly, and so had the clue just said flower, if it was a normal crossword clue, I never would have got that. And even if I'd had the crossing letters, I'd probably not be able to solve it. This is one of the nice things about cryptics, that you can solve clues without knowing the actual term, and you end up learning words. So, and a well-designed cryptic crossword can ultimately be easier than a regular crossword for that very reason, that you don't actually have to know the words as long as you can piece the wordplay together. So 18 down. Actress Coleman followed bachelor to the country. So bachelor, I think, is often abbreviated as just to be or BA. No, in fact, it's just B. And the actress, this would be potentially quite difficult if you didn't happen to know this actress. But although you do know that you're quite likely looking for a country, and you've got B and L in place, so you might come to Bolivia. And the actress is Olivia Colman, a brilliant British actress of both comedy and drama. So we've got Colman is Olivia, the actress Colman is Olivia, following the letter B for bachelor, that's an abbreviation to the country Bolivia. So these are looking incredibly gettable. This is maybe Chevalier or something. 25. Digging pitch outside shack. Okay, so digging will be shoveling. Double L-I-N-G. So pitch outside shack. So a shack is a hovel, and to pitch is to sling in the sense of throwing a ball. So that's quite a difficult clue. I think if you didn't have letters in place already, finding a synonym for pitch as sling and a synonym for shack as hovel, they're pretty unobvious synonyms to be identifying. But digging, I guess, as a definition, especially with some letters in place, is the easier part of that clue. So 27 across. Ignored a defect in cotton. Oh, what's going on? Ignored a defect in cotton material. Okay, so this is ignored A, and the word defect is telling us to rearrange those letters because they're defective, and a cotton material, and that is going to be something. So presumably it starts with a G. I find anagrams hard, especially when I'm not doing it with pen and paper, looking back and forwards between the two, but it's not coming to mind. A cotton material. Well, where's the N? Let's have a look at 23 down, see if it ends in an N here. Outspoken bloke's appearance. Okay, so we have here a homophone clue, almost certainly. Don't actually know what the answer to that is. So we'll come back to it and I'll explain the way that the clue works once I know what the actual answer is. Catching good religious scholar napping outside. So we've got a cold clue here. So catching good religious scholar napping outside. So I think maybe, yes, this is I figured out 23 down. This is definitely a G, and that is an abbreviation of good, most likely, and that is an actual abbreviation. Our final answer is going to mean catching. Religious scholar napping outside, and the whole thing means catching. So grabbing, yeah. So a religious scholar is a rabbi, and napping outside means the outside letters of napping, so the N and the G. So we get good for G, rabbi, and then the NG, and that means catching, which I kind of was helped by 23 down on the suspicion that I had a G at the front, because this is guys. So another word for blokes is guys, G-U-Y-S. Now, the final answer is guys, G-U-I-S-E, which means appearance. And the reason we make this change in spelling is this word outspoken. So if I say out loud the word guys, you wouldn't know whether I was saying G-U-I-S or G-U-I-S-E. So in this case, we take the word blokes, guys, G-U-I-S, and spell that in a different way to make a different word. And we get guys. So that gives us an E here, which is not what I was hoping. I thought an N here might make things more clear. Let's come back to that last, I think. 24 down. Germany banned my puzzle in fury. Very nice. Yeah, right. So this is a fairly straightforward clue, but a nice one. So Germany banned my. So if we take the letters MY and we ban them from Germany, we get G-E-R-A-N. And obviously fury means anger. So puzzle here is an anagram indicator saying we need to rearrange these letters. It's a bit of a weak anagram indicator, that. You can see the idea that, actually, can you see that? Maybe you can't quite see what I'm seeing. Yeah, you see the idea that something, that you're making a puzzle of the letters G-R-A-A-N, but it's slightly skew, I think. Now, 28 across. Overhauls, friends, ovens, now and then. Right, so this is R-E-D, redoes. So redoes means overhauls. And this now and then is a common clue type. Sometimes it'll say occasionally or every second or evenly or oddly, meaning that you need to take every second letter or letters at some interval through the string here. So if we take every second letter here, we get R-E-D-O-E-S, redoes, or redos, and that gives us overhauls. Okay, 20 down looks very solvable. It's possibly a past tense word with the D on the end. Bit of Bible bashing in North Dakota. Okay, so maybe not a past, but oh no, it probably is actually. Yeah, so this is going to be nibbled, I think, meaning bit. Bible bashing is, we're bashing the word Bible, we're rearranging it, which gives us the I-B-B-L-E, and it's in North Dakota, and North Dakota is abbreviated to N-D, giving us nibbled. 26 across. Experimental areas for dogs. So that's labs, that's a double definition. So an experimental area is a lab, and a type of dog is a lab as well. 21 down. Glorify Ben Elton dancing shirtless. Okay, so this is going to be ennoble. And so Ben Elton dancing, the dancing is telling us that these letters need to move around. So it's an anagram indicator. We have 8 letters there, but our final answer is only 7. And shirtless means, another word for a shirt is a T, as in a T-shirt. And that again is a legitimate abbreviation. And so if we take the T, as in it's shirt, this term here is shirtless, so it's lacking a T. We get Ben, E-L-O-N, which we can rearrange to get the word ennoble, which means to glorify. So we're down to our last couple. Alcohol in essence suppresses divinity. Okay, so this is looking like holiness. And so alcohol in essence suppresses. So this is a hidden clue. We talked about these earlier, and this is where you have inside the actual string here, we can see the word holiness. And one thing about hiddens is that in principle they're easy because the word's literally written right there. But what can make them difficult and often make them one of the last ones you solve is that you don't always recognize that you're looking at a hidden clue. In this case, the word suppresses is a bit of a giveaway. That's a pretty common way to kind of refer to a hidden answer. But sometimes they're very well disguised and they can really irritate you trying to do all sorts of other word plays when it turns out the letters are right there in front of you. So 27 across is our final one, which was this type of cotton, I think. Yeah, it's an anagram of ignored A. So maybe it's like GR. So I need an I and an O and an N. Or maybe it's Orgidney. Hang on. This is probably one that's just worth looking up because I don't think I know the answer. Let's see if you can see. Yeah, let's have a look. So what have I got here? I've got R-A-D-E. So R-A-D-E with a Organdy. There we go. So I wouldn't have solved that, I don't think. There were a few different ways that could have come out. Okay, so my software tells me that this is all incorrect because when I was entering the grid, I just put X's in places of the answers. So it believes that I have thoroughly failed at this puzzle, but indeed I think this is the correct solution. So I'll leave it there for solving that. There's a whole bunch of things I'd like to maybe, particularly for people who are new to cryptics, to just kind of hone in on a little bit more and explain in a bit more detail, and some pointers as to I guess how you approach a puzzle. So for example, not laboring too long on a clue. If you can't figure it out, just move along to find the easier ones, because for all you know, you could be looking at the hardest clue in the grid, and so why waste time when you could move on, get some crossing letters and come back. And some things to do with, you know, if you've already got an S in place or a D at the end, it might suggest that you're looking for a plural or you're looking for a past tense, and this can help to figure out which part of the clue is which. So there's a bunch of bits and pieces like that that I'll probably go into as the episodes evolve. So yeah, I did promise a little waffle. 40 minutes in, I'll keep it as quick as possible. Basically, my idea with this channel is to present crosswords that are kind of beginner to intermediate level, particularly with an eye to helping people who are new to cryptics. I'll be looking primarily at crosswords from Liam and from the stable of setters at the Big Issue. There's, I think, at least 3 there who are all excellent. I think they tend to be a little bit harder than Liam's. So Tuesday and Saturday for Liam, I think, is going to be a lock, and then I'll do some Big Issue ones as well. Hopefully I'll do more than 2 a week. Occasionally I may do a harder crossword, like a David Astle DA, who publishes in The Age on Friday. They're pretty monstrously hard, and they tend to take quite a while to solve. For me, typically, if I get through it completely, it might take about an hour. That's without narration. So if I do a DA, it might just be more a straight solve without too much explanation, just to kind of keep it as quick as possible. But yeah, the main idea is to be doing these more straightforward crosswords. I might occasionally do some of my own, or do some setting of crosswords as well. I will put links in the description below to my own social media and whatnot, but also to the setter that I've done. So in this case, to Liam, and you'll find him on Twitter and other places. If you're interested if you're new to cryptics and you're trying to kind of get the hang of it, my basic advice would be to try to do it as often as you can, particularly the easier ones like the Liam. I think Liam is really the perfect crossword to be doing as a beginner. There are other easy-ish crosswords like the NS in The Age on Thursday, but it's just nothing like the same quality and as interesting or fun as an LR. So these are definitely ones to go to. You can see the answers the following day, so you can try to work backwards from the answers to the ones you couldn't get. The Big Issue is good as well because they are slightly harder, but they have a quick clue section which has the same definitions. So if you're struggling on a clue, you can at least look at the quick clue and say, okay, so I know that I'm looking for a word that means this, and then you can look back at the cryptic clue and go, okay, so this must be the wordplay section, and that can help you along. And the other thing is to do cryptics with other people, particularly people who've been doing it for a long time. And on that front, there is a crossword club which has not met for quite a long time, basically since COVID. Pre-COVID, we were doing it on a monthly basis. And so recently I decided to try to kick that back off. This is in Melbourne. So I believe 5th of November is the date, on a Sunday. If you want details, then send me a message, tweet me, whatever, and I'll let you know. There'll be a bunch of different crosswords to try, hard ones, easy ones, and hopefully a not too small group of people. I'm anticipating we might have 10-ish people. It used to be more than that, but I think kind of people aren't kind of in the same groove at the moment, but fingers crossed we can start to get more and more people. And that is really an excellent way of learning. And there's a bunch of stuff in cryptics that you just couldn't figure out off the top of your head unless you had someone there to tell you, really. Some you can, but if you see the word model in a clue, you're never going to think that means the letter T, but it does. And that's based on the idea of the Model T Ford. So there's a whole bunch of just very niche stuff that unless someone tells you, you won't be able to figure out. So it's nice to have someone around who can do that. And hopefully as I go through, you'll pick up some of these things from me. And I guess at some point I'd like to do some kind of overtly instructional things as well, where rather than doing a full crossword, we just pick apart some individual clues or bits and pieces like that. Do some small cryptics. I made a few cryptics a while ago that were kind of 5 by 5. 5 by 5. So they had 5-letter words in a grid, and so much more bite size, and they were designed to showcase the kind of 10 or 12 core clue types that you come across in Cryptics. So whole host of things that may be coming our way. And the other side of this might be some Sudoku stuff. So I've been building variant Sudoku puzzles over the last few years, which is a type of Sudoku that expands on regular Sudoku by adding a whole bunch of other rules. They're very, very interesting and fun once you get into it. So I might be tempted to have a go at some of that. I'm not the best solver of Sudoku, but I've had some success at building them. And I'm always kind of wishing I knew more people that actually were involved in solving these variant Sudokus. They're really fun. Alrighty, so that is the end of my waffle and the end of the crossword. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you again soon.